The idea behind this game is that I wanted to create something that ran at a very high frame rate, but also included a lot of movement. So I came up with the idea of a scrap vortex, and the scrap vortex includes 22,500 pieces of scrap that are constantly moving and rotating and creating a hazard for you to navigate, and you can reach really high speeds travelling through this environment. But to make this more interesting, the scrap in the vortex can morph into different shapes. So the one I've just been working on is the ghost ship. So you'll see the scrap quickly changes form to create this really large ship with quite a lot of detail on it. And it's actually got 8,700 squares on there. And we can also travel inside this structure as well. Now the idea of it being a ghost ship is that it can change structure and shape as you're going through it. So you'll see as I come down the corridor, it's actually getting built in front of me. So that's a gameplay device that can actually make you slow down, and maybe in dangerous areas where you've got to wait for the tunnel to be built in front of you. Now of course these tunnels won't be empty, there'll be things to dodge, things to shoot with your laser and your cannon, enemies and various dangers to navigate. And because the scrap can change shape at any time, we can constantly keep extending this structure as you're travelling through it. So there's not really many limitations to how large and complex we can make these things. So other than just solid structures, we can also have scrap titans, and these are end boss type characters. So you can see now the ship is all returning to its scrap form, changing back to its proper scale and starting to wander around again. But we've got this scrap titan that's getting created from the scrap now. So rather than having a static structure, these end boss type characters will be a lot more lively and animated. And we can take it out by destroying the weak points. So we've got a power up here, so I'll collect a bomb. I can drop that by the titan. And I can use my lasers and my cannons to keep working on him and blowing up his limbs. And you'll see as you destroy the titan, it returns back to its scrap form again. And our ship as well is actually just scrap like everything else. So you'll see if I destroy the ship, it just reforms again. Up above the scrap vortex, we've got a couple more structures you can play around with. So this one is a small sample structure, but you'll see that it's actually slowly rotating and moving in space. And it gives you an idea of some of the dangers you might have and being able to navigate around things as well. So it makes it a little bit more complex to go through with it constantly moving. And the inspiration for these types of ideas are things like Elite, where you used to have to dock. This is the original Elite, where you used to have to dock in the bases. And games like Descent, where you can blow up parts of structures and make your way through them. Now the creator of the drones, they also are going to be putting challenges within the scrap vortex as proof of how superior their drones are. So one of those challenges that I've put in this prototype is the race. So here we get some rings, and as you travel through a ring, it lights the next one up. So very simply, you're working your way through the scrap vortex, dodging the scrap and making your way around the course. And at the moment this just goes up to 10 rings and then loops back around again, but it gives you the idea of the difficulties you could have in navigating the course and dodging the scrap. And you can also shoot the scrap using your lasers and your cannon. And one of the other test environments I set up as well was the scrap soup. So this has taken a slightly different approach. So it's put all the scrap vortex inside a container, And there will be various scrap vortexes as well. They've got different shapes, different properties. So this is just an example of what a different one might be like. So I need to find my way in. And in this environment, all the scrap has gone to a larger size and it all intermingles. So it gives you quite this surreal kind of environment to try and navigate your way through. So that should give you an idea of what we've got so far. So do let me know if you've got any ideas for the game. If you think there are interesting things that we could make use of with the idea of the scrap vortexes, any challenges you think we could do with it, or just your general views on it. Thank you. Cheers.